those of you who don't know, you're an artistic collective, comprising of obviously several fields across several different mediums. But I want to know, like, how would you introduce like the work that you do? How would you like explain it in like a...
With great difficulty.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to pin down. I think a lot of people don't understand who we are, what we do. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different fields: photographers, designers, painters, and sometimes these kind of jump between these fields, kind of like, the three fields are connected, they're creative, and then there's, organizational qualities to people, and they're involved, and so together it's kind of we're trying to create a unit that actually works, and the idea is to try and forge a living for ourselves and also create art while we're at it, and that's it.
Yeah,
I would say it's like trying to herd autistic cats.
There's a few weirdos in here now.
But was the genesis? Did you always kind of have like that particular vision in mind? Like how did it exactly start? What was like the genesis of it? If you can say.
It's hard to really pin down what the idea or vision was when we started, because we didn't know what we were doing, and it's only over the last, say, 24 months, 18 months, now that we have what we would consider like a full crew, that we're starting to forge that direction that we want to take.
Yeah.
So at the start it was sort of just do shit and see what happens. And then eventually that got us to a point where we realised what we didn't want to do, I suppose, that learning curve. And then once we understood what we weren't about, that's when we started to build what we were about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been individual teachers, you know what I mean, as well. So, it's hard to pin it down to a few people.
Yeah, I get you.
But I think the projects we've kind of created they're once off, like, as in, I don't think many people have done them before, so it's hard to, like with the Grey Area project, and when I kind of got involved with this group when that was kicking off, and I don't think anyone had ever done anything like that, so inclusive, inviting artists from all fields and trying to kind of, shape Dublin into something new again through art,
Yeah.
But yeah, there has been, that's what I'd say anyway.
Yeah, there's countless people like that we would have received support from and taken inspiration from.
But like once things got going and later on, where did the Stormzy mural fit in, and how did that coincide then with the beginning of Grey Area?
Just when we started back in 2016, spent a lot of time planning and I suppose preparing to launch, really, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And around that time, we're just big fans of Stormzy, just like his music, like what he's about. And he was kicking off his world tour from Ireland, so just decided that we'd paint a piece in homage to what he's about and what he stands for. So that got a good reaction, and it was definitely... Did you
anticipate the reaction that it would get when you went into it, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. We spent a lot of time planning it, and we were pretty confident in what we were doing. But I suppose from that was an enjoyable period briefly, but then we ran into some problems which had knock-on effects, and we were in like sort of an ongoing turbulent period. And then at the height of that, I suppose, we were contacted by Dublin City Council to remove the art piece, so it sort of felt like the nail in the coffin.
Obviously, it was probably like brewing up like that kind of feeling before that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like we thought we were gonna just have to shut down, basically. So we decided we'd just have a crack back at the council around that time.
So you
maybe
painted like the council worker painting over it as well and stuff like that. Kind of as like a middle finger, I suppose.
Yeah, of sorts. I mean, like, I suppose a tasteful middle finger. But yeah, we just thought we had nothing else to lose at this stage, so we decided we'd just do something to point the finger back at them. And thankfully that resulted in an outpour of support and interest and intrigue in what we do and why we're doing it. And then from there we decided, well, we may as well use this mantle that we have now to create something that's bigger than just one wall and just about us, and make it more about the community and art in Dublin City in general.
And it's quite incredible, because since the grey area, while the grey area was happening, I was kind of witnessing this, and I was like, well, wait, there's not that many changes happening. There's, we have, like permission to do a few walls around Dublin, and
for people who don't know, obviously the property owner always gives full permission to you guys to paint on it, so.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that'd be garnered throughout the years, and so I mean, but it was just amazing that like. It was only after a while that the actual effects, like maybe even a year after the main core of the project had started or even finished, like Grey Area Project or Exhibition 2. And it was a year after that, so not too long ago, that some actual real effects started happening.
Okay.
And that was when essentially we painted a piece about the climate. It was David Attenborough, and that was threatened to be taken down. Hasn't been painted over yet, but the effects from it were great, because people from around the area were loving it, and that's
there was definitely a lot of support for that piece. And I think what was just being said there, I think it was the lead in before that about other art pieces that enabled this one to have that, so it's wider topic of conversation.
Yeah, like punchy kind of quality.
Yeah,
because it had happened before, and no one was kind of equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
And this time round, it's happening again. Oh shit, it's happening again. So it's like
Yeah, it's
I think that people really understood that.
Sometimes people realise like that something's missing. Then like they walk by every day, but then like when it's painted over. And they realise, so like if another one's being threatened to be taken down, you just get more support, because like they realise, well, we lost that in our area, or like from our wall, Yeah,
well, at the moment we have 3 pieces that are under investigation. David Attenborough, Horseboy, and then a piece we did for Brexit. And in all 3 instances we're communicating with Dublin City Council, and
kind of seems like it's almost censoring artwork at some stage as well.
I don't think it's. I think it just really comes back to like artwork goes up, artwork must come down. It seems to be like that. It's just an automatic reaction. Once there's one complaint made, or it's brought to the attention of Dublin City Council, which could be in any way. It could be via social media. It could be
viewed as a form of censorship, though, because they pick and choose what they want to leave up and what they don't.
Yeah, that's fair.
It could definitely be seen as a form of censorship.
It's happening all around the world, and it's kind of a fact of being a street artist. You're used to it. I mean, the first time that something of mine would have gotten painted over may have been from a fellow artist. You know what I mean? And back then I was a little bit pissed off about it, but now when it happens all the time. It's like so fucking what? It's on to the next one, and I mean, really, I think that it's just not adding to anything if it's been painted over and it's been painted blank again. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like but it's okay if something's being built or something, like it's kind of, it's kind of nice that it's like if you didn't catch it, then it's gone. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know,
There is something to it.
yeah. So try and catch it. It's like a fountain in the way that the fountain is kind of a sculpture when it's on, but the minute the power gets shut off or the water stops running, then it's not a sculpture anymore. It's just a bunch of pipes.
Nice.
And so yeah, catch it while it's there and it's real, and go out there, see it. Don't see it on Instagram, that kind of thing. It's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. And just in terms of like because obviously the grey area as well, it's set up to kind of like open a discussion around the legislation, because you're in agreement that there should be some like involvement from the Dublin City Council to some extent as well, but you'd like to be sort of partners in.
Oh,
It would be better if they had no. It would be better if they had no involvement and they just like you could just paint where you wanted. There's loads of like cities around the world where
I was gonna say,
art is
how does
allowed
Dublin
to happen
compare?
freely, you know, and like a lot of tourists come over here and they like take a lot of photographs beside a lot of pieces that are out there by a lot of great artists in Dublin. There are a lot of great artists in Dublin, and they're not getting any appreciation. Like it's like we're not allowed to grow our own culture. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop us from growing our own culture. It's not right, you know.
Yeah, it's like asking, like, you know, it's like going into someone's studio essentially, when they have permission to be in that studio, and permission to paint inside that studio, and saying, "Hey man, what the fuck are you creating?" and destroy that painting there. I mean, sure, it's on us if we want to destroy the painting. Oh, that we don't like that anymore, and we want to paint over it again, or it's been up for a while, and we want to paint over that canvas again. Do you know what I mean? It's like we didn't quite think that painting was right, so we'll just update it with something new. And there's artists who do that anyway, and so you look through X-rays of canvases, and there's all sorts of things that people weren't happy with, and they just started again. So that's kind of nice as well. You know?
We sit on a panel with Dublin City Council.
Yeah. Has there been more discussion since even like the forum that happened during it as well? I think that was like around the time of...
Yeah, I mean, that forum set up this panel, the one we sit on, and we meet periodically to discuss legislation, but, you know, at the end of the day, the legislation isn't suitable. So to spend time discussing how we can work within that legislation ultimately is futile exercise.
No, I don't even believe in that panel. That panel is just like gerrymandering. You know, it's just so they can say they did something and then they just put you off all the time. It's always like, oh, we're on holiday over here, or somebody's not around to attend it. It's never from our end. We're always trying to engage.
But I feel like it's important to say, I mean, it's so complicated sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm totally right here, but like I think that there's people within Dublin City Council that are actually helping us out, and
different departments,
departments, and I think that those people are the good people.
Yeah, this is the whole situation is complicated because unfortunately it's not really about good and bad. It's just this is our system that we're told to operate. Therefore, we have to operate it or we're not doing our job. And if we're not doing our job comes under question. I can't afford to have my job come under question because of what you want to do. So it's a reasonable argument, but at the same time, it is a public service. And at the moment, we don't feel it's serving the public. And the attempts that we've made to resolve it, it's always just been brought back to more discussion about existing legislation. It's fine the way it is. It doesn't need to change. This is the way it should operate. But we wholeheartedly disagree with that. And that's why we continue to do what we do against the rules, shall we say, whilst at the same time trying to engage. Because, you know, we understand there are people in there who we know, who we don't know as well, who are doing good shit.
It's like that everywhere, obviously. Like.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you know, Dublin City Council is just an organisation. Within it, you're going to have people that are supportive and that aren't. So, you know.
I mean, the world is full of people with good intentions anyway, so.
And bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Depends who their good intentions are for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely a more lax policy or lax legislation would assist in the progression and development of Irish arts and culture for sure. And as was said, there's you know, an amazing community of artists here who have the capability of putting us on the map, if not having done so already.
Yeah.
And the number of spots they can paint in is getting smaller and smaller all the time.
That's coming up all the time in discussions around even like just the rapid like gentrification and like losing like the Tivoli hangar, like loads of spots recently, and then obviously the Bernard Shaw was like a big one that it's kind of similar to like all it took is like one noise complaint apparently, and like a petition with 25,000 signatures just thrown to one side like is.
Yeah, we need to throw some parentheses up before that noise complaint, because was it a noise complaint?
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, we were talking about it, and we were saying like what, like I think Mannix Flynn was talking about the local community.
Shout out Mannix Flynn.
Yeah, why not? But we're saying he was saying about the local flats nearby and stuff, but those flats have been demolished for like 6 years. So it's like, what local flats? Do you know what I mean? They're demolished and they're now being built up to something else. That's like, it's like, I don't even know what those buildings are.
There's like 6 or 8 cranes behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And so
there'd be no locals living in them flats.
Yeah, no locals living in those guys, and there's no word of it turning into kind of public housing or nothing. Like, I haven't heard of anything like that.
I'm not sure
no.
Charlemagne Street was against that anyway. It was just like some noisemakers. There's always a few little like can rattlers, you know what I mean?
There was a whole lot of more
as far as I know, the Charlo didn't care about what was going on in the show. You know? So they took away the snooker tables, but that's it.
Yeah. It's like, a bit of music never hurt anyone. But
the main issue there, it's like with all those locations, is there's no provision of a similar space along with the development of the new space. So it's bad enough that the space is being obliterated.
I mean, how good would it be if we had a council with a vision to actually include a space to be painted on all of these new developments? How good would that be for Dublin culture? So like, okay, you can build your building, you have to have your parks, you have to have your percent for arts, you have to have your but you also have to have a side of the building that's specifically for murals, and then all of a sudden you have a city that's filled with murals and people want to go to. Like you want not that tourism is the best thing ever, it's just wouldn't it just be great if Ireland was a centre for like murals culture? It already is for art and music and dance, but
it is all around the world, but it's not supported at home enough.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is like, Irish people are some of the most expressive people in the world, But like, sometimes you have to go somewhere else to make it. But we're determined that like it's not going to happen with us.
Yeah, like
we're staying here to fight the good fight.
We're known for poetry, literature, art.
Fighting,
drinking, smoking, and all the rest of it. But so why aren't we embracing that? I suppose, it's nice. Let's see that vision. Let's challenge someone who's listening to this podcast to change their day, change their outlook, and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's nuts because sometimes it feels as well like we have. Obviously, we're known around the world for having all this great culture, but it just seems to be like at every turn stifled here, like even just with like what you guys do and everything like that. So it is sick to see. And like one of the things I found interesting in, I think it was on the Paddy Houlihan podcast, you were kind of saying like, say there's mural on the wall, Dublin City Council say you have to take that down, and they say you need planning permission just for the actual mural on the wall. But when you reapply the paint, just because it's in a different way, as you say, when it's just blank wall, it's like, why do you not need planning permission to actually paint over it? Like,
exactly. That's breaking it down to its simplest thing. Like paint is paint, and if it's in a series of like shapes that make people happy, well then that's a no-go thing. Like, and that's coming from somewhere, I believe. They don't want people thinking. They don't want them making communication and like touching each other and like talking to each other. It's like send a text out. Being in a virtual world, soon it'll just be like a load of little like everyone will be living in the Sims, bro.
It'd be nuts. I was listening to there was some one of those like Elon Musk heads or something. He was saying, imagine though if we were living in like a VR world, it kind of would like solve all of our problems in a weird way, especially with like, say if people are like even like disabled or something, they could like be able to walk and like.
But they wouldn't be able to walk.
Although you'd be literally living in the Matrix, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Not that we probably aren't already.
I don't think it solves problems. I think it just
No.
bandages them up
Yeah.
shoddily.
Yeah.
I think clouds are fake, bro.
Little chemtrails.
They're just a hologram.
Yeah, but you think the world's made of
Cheers.
cheese? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's
And
ants live-
governed by mushrooms.
It's definitely governed by mushrooms.
Yes, that is true.
That is true.
Sure, yeah.
The whole thing, they're terraforming, man. They're in control. We just think we are. You're just a spore with arms and legs, bro.
That's it,
100%. You Terence McKenna.
Yeah, and so I suppose back to the David Attenborough thing, because that kind of kicked off the whole climate campaign that you're involved with now, right?
Well, we actually did a piece for Friends of the Irish Environment before that.
Okay.
They're a group of Irish people that were bringing the government to court over inaction on climate change. I think they got their ruling last week. I don't think they were successful, but they made a lot of noise along the way, so I suppose that counts for something. Then that led into the Attenborough piece, and then from the Attenborough piece it led into the climate series.
Yeah. And were any of yous kind of over at Colorado during the painting there?
No, we didn't make the cut,
No.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's an awesome trick, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they seem to have a great time, and like one of the things, as far as I'm aware anyway, from chatting with them, that they took away from it was the art district where the festival took place in, Crush Festival.
Yeah, like literally half a kilometre or more of a street.
So it was just like a really old industrial crime littered area where fuck all was happening. Then artists started to go in and just use the big industrial spaces, like the sides of the walls, front of the buildings, and just started creating world-class art. And then with that drew in loads of artisan coffee makers and microbreweries and all this sort of stuff. And now it's like a really thriving area. So it just shows how something as simple as a lick of paint can completely change the face of an area. And change it from going backwards to moving forward at a fast pace. So.
They're rapidly gentrifying all those areas in Dublin now at the moment, so like we'd be lucky if we have one left.
Yeah, but they're kind of being pulled out in the wrong way. Like, as in, you go to Williamsburg in New York and it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like murals every so often in these kind of districts of industry in like Greenpoint and all. But it's just like, and that's kind of how they became trendy. But what's happening with us and the way it's been gentrified is it's not as natural as that, and it's just like, oh yeah, there is a bit of land over there, and it's pretty close to town.
It's right in the heart of town.
Yeah.
I'm living amongst it. I'm watching it happening, bro.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
I think your work with like the vulture piece as well as like a sticker over there is like the 60 and that sort of stuff around as well, just highlighting that and like driving a point home, and like with the Take Back the City stuff as well.
Yeah, fuck vulture funds.
And like obviously then the amazing, like I listened to Anthony Flynn from ICHH on Paddy Hoolan as well, and he's just doing amazing work for what you guys did as well, raising like the amount of money you did.
Yeah, it's
we would
great.
consider we
I think there's been a lot
would
of people
consider it a
who've done that,
partnership at ICHH.
Yeah.
For sure. Like there's definitely like there's a lot of love there from us to them. Yeah, they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, well, it's such a big problem, and those guys are doing the frontline stuff. So, just simple things like giving someone a cup of tea or something to eat or a clean pair of socks, and like
sitting down talking to them for 15 minutes.
Yeah, just making them feel like a human being. So, although that's not really solving the overall problem, it's still it's definitely a comfort, and it's probably enough to keep people going when they're at their lowest ebb. So, yeah, we've done a lot of stuff with them, but definitely haven't done enough. Definitely can do more, and we intend on doing so. But yeah, stuff like the vulture funds, there's a lot of shit happening in this country that probably at like a very basic level most of its citizens wouldn't agree with. But we're also busy and we're also distracted. That a lot of the time we're drawn away from those issues that really we should be paying attention to. Yeah. And that's fine. Like everybody's trying to make ends meet and everybody's just trying to keep their head above water. So, you have to look after yourself first. But then it's good to kind of every so often try and bring people back to that. Okay, as a city, as a nation, these are the problems we're facing. And especially with the vulture funds, like that's an especially despicable situation for sure.
We need to play the long game. That's what we need to do. Like instant gratification just doesn't work. You've got to, like, if you want to change things, you just have to stick at it. You know, and if you believe you're right, well then stick at it harder. When everyone tells you you're wrong, just keep going. Go in the right direction. You can change things.
Yeah, with the Vulture Fund scenario in general, we're going to be doing some more stuff on that. And what it really needs is
Education.
Conversation, yeah.
And education. The people need to be educated on what's happening.
But, like, you know, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of discussion happening.
Well, it's incredibly fucking, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't. Yeah, it's a very, very complex situation, and it's difficult to understand it in its totality unless you're studying it nearly. But that's why we link in with people that we believe anyway have a better grasp on it than we do. We trust their opinion.
It's also very simple though. It's like people that aren't from your economy are coming in and buying your economy at a very cheap rate and then taking the profit from that economy and putting it into another economy. That's what it basically is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is it at a basic level. It's just
like
that
they try to make it complex by using words that don't really mean anything. You know, they use these like little vapor words that can have like 75 meanings depending on like whether there's a comma after or not. You know,
there's just so much information. We're never ever you know, like with the news on and stuff, and you know, 6 o'clock, whatever. It's a news story every night, and there's something happening here, and there's something happening there. It's only about half an hour or whatever to hear about what's going on. So you get funneled full of news that's a different story each night, at least. Anyway, and there's maybe some overarching story like Brexit, which is apparently going to kill us all. But you know, maybe that doesn't really matter so much, and maybe it's just really, really hard to not get distracted and to also just focus on one thing, one problem at a time. At the moment, we have probably around 3 of them. But and we're probably trying to keep it to that, you know. So that would be
well, I think just like this,
the environment, the vulture funds, which is kind of tied up into the economy, and you know, just shedding light on this. We're a big mirror.
But they're the same fuckers doing the same people that own the same shit.
Yeah,
the same people pulling all the fucking oil out of the ground. The same people that own the banks who are the same people who are running all the economies.
Exactly.
Governments mean nothing anymore. Corporations run the world, bro. You know, we're living in a manga world now.
But in an age where everything gets so distracted and there's such a huge information flow, that's sometimes why it can be more beneficial to just have a visual representation of, you know, a sentiment or a feeling or a truth. So like that vulture for us is essentially our pushback against what's happening at the moment. And the more people who suppose spread that message and show it as a symbol for that want of change or that desire for change, then that can kind of cut through all the bullshit and bring it back to that simple message that was explained, which is essentially, you know, this isn't right. We don't want this, and we're not going to stand for it as a nation.
And like as with there's the climate as well, which we've just done the RHA piece, and you know, we just had a conversation before this about whether it's our fault that we are buying these plastic water bottles. You know, like, is it our fault? Is it their fault? Is it this?
Well,
you know,
corporations, they've definitely switched it over to being our fault. Like, they've pulled that card already. Like, so everyone believes that the individual has to do their bit. Yeah. So the main thing the individual can do is stop buying the products that are made of these things, and then once you don't have profit, then you have to change the way you operate as a business. It's like basic business. They'd have to change. They'd have to stop. They'd have to bring back glass balls. They'd have to bring back natural materials. There'd be more sheep running around the place, shitting all over the place. We could get more magic mushrooms. Everybody wins.
There was a great, just a short documentary I was watching about how it was essentially a guy going around and interviewing Coca-Cola and different kind of members of Coca-Cola on this change they did only recently, like a year or two ago. Recently I mean 6 years ago actually, exactly, and that's quite recent really. But they changed in this country, it was an African country, they changed from glass bottles, where they actually had a circular economy, bringing back the glass bottles for a couple of Ugandan shillings or so on and so forth, and that was the circular economy. The glass bottles are being recycled, they're getting Coke back into them, or I'm not sure if they did it with water or not, but anyway, they actually changed back. They changed to plastic, and about 6 years ago. And their promise when they changed plastic was to create a circular economy themselves. You know, like, so this is Coca-Cola promising this to the government, and what they've done is nothing, literally nothing. So they you know, like, honestly, all they've done is just, it's obviously cheaper to do the plastic way, so let's just do this, make a couple more billion, million, whatever it is, and you know, we'll do nothing for it, but we'll say we will in 6 years' time, and then another 6 years' time that they've done nothing. So then it kind of went into exactly where all these plastic bits are going, and there's people who are sorting through different colours of plastic, and I actually didn't know that different colours of plastic get sorted through. And, you know, because obviously, you know,
You don't think about these things.
yeah, you just don't think of them. And there's just literally a mound of plastic, and people manually, because plastic is so light, these people with these big, huge, massive, almost like mushroom clouds of plastic bags on their back, climbing up this mountain and dumping all of the plastic bottles on this thing. And so, you know, it's really tough life, really no money at all. And, you know, it's funny, like, they get, I don't know how much they get, but anyway, it's just It's just interesting that there's a company that is out there, and they're actually doing.
So the Christmas ads are a lie. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, there
I'm
is no
shocked.
Father
I really
Christmas.
am. I can't believe that a multinational corporation would do that.
Yeah, it's you know, like, but there it kind of solves the question of, is it our fault anymore? It's kind of not our fault. What can we do about it?
No, it isn't our fault. But like, we can definitely like stop buying those products.
Yeah.
You can definitely like not buy Coca-Cola.
Yeah, if you're educated enough.
If you're educated enough.
Or if you're bothered. Yeah.
Or if you're bothered.
And how'd you get that many people bothered?
I don't know. Eventually it's going to happen. Because eventually there'll be no
through our art is how
Coca-Cola. There
you
will
get
be
it.
no Coke. There'll be no
Yeah.
water. People will be punching each other in the face in the street for it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, survival issue maybe.
But yeah, so with the launch of those projects, then is it feeling like the most exciting time of Subset so far, or would you say?
It's often hard to determine what's exciting and what's scary. It's to kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Sure, it's great. We feel like, you know, when we were painting that, it was great times. Big, massive sunny window beside us, and we were doing something good. Yeah, but also there's that feeling of, oh, we're really doing something a bit overwhelming. Like, we're trying to send a message that's a bit overwhelming to try and get across, and no one's really listening. I mean, I'm sure that there's even, you know, so that's it. Yeah. So it's good and bad.
Shit we're doing at the moment is like, I've never done anything like it before, you know. It's amazing, and it's great to be able to be
pushing forward.
Delving into shit you've never been engaged with before, and learning and understanding what's going on in the big bad world.
Yeah.
But also with that comes like turbulent times and problems, and trying to keep your head above the water, and also break through the glass ceiling. So it's a constant balancing act, tightrope, with no safety net.
Yeah.
So but that makes it exciting. That makes it real. You know, every day you get up and you know that, I suppose, at least to a certain degree, your life's in your own hands, and you're making your own decisions, and those decisions are directly impacting what's going to happen to you the next day.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But the work you're doing as well is having, like, as you say, it's like fighting a good fight, and it's like obviously making a huge impact in the city. So,
well, what we believe is the good fight.
Yeah.
What we believe is the good fight.
And like the good fight, you know, the goalposts always change. You learn more every day, and then you realise, okay, maybe what I thought yesterday actually isn't the case. So it's good to have sort of malleable belief system.
100%. 100%, yeah, I would agree with that.
And to be able to put your hand up when you're wrong and say it's wrong. But, you know, we've done shit that we look back on it, we weren't happy with it, but we learned from it, and we learned what we didn't want to do, what we didn't want to be, and then we know if we're going forward. And there's definitely going to be times where that happens again, but fuck it.
Yeah.
It's a learning process, and yeah, at the end of the day, that's all you can do is just keep trying to learn.
And we all have different opinions, and we all, like, the goalposts are different for all of us as, like, collective members.
Yeah.
So, like, there's sometimes you just have to, like, bite down your gum shield and just like keep marching forward. You know?
That's true. Yeah, and it's an ever-changing. There is people who've come in and out as well. So it's not the same as when it started as well.
Yeah. No, we're like prison. We have like a revolving door policy.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the lads said the other day, or not the other day, he said it a while ago, and I think it's the most apt description. Like he said, we're not an organisation, we're an organism, because we're alive and we're growing and we're changing all the time. So it's, that's why it's always the difficult question, like introduce yourselves or what do you do? It's like, we did that yesterday, we're not really sure about now, and who knows tomorrow.
Yeah, we have an organic certified sticker, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, what's it called? I thought a funny idea was like when you think about, people always make up what's important in their life, like their values and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of that is to do with their job, I think, where people's identity is to do with what they did in life. And not to go like way too spacey on this, but it's like kind of,
Go full spacey, please.
It's
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Don't go Kevin Spacey.
I'm not touching any
Not
children
again.
or whatever you did. So I think, people really do make up what's important in their life. And so, that's very much made up anyway, you know what I mean? And you just got to sift through, like everyone has their own little reality and their own way of looking at things. So yeah, do you get what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
Yeah, educate yourself.
Yeah.
Basically.
We were talking about it the other day. weren't we? Yeah. So yeah.
Try to see things from more than one point of view. If you're going to read one newspaper, read the opposite newspaper. Somewhere in the middle, there's your truth.
Yeah, like
like anything.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just don't follow someone else's dogma.
I think I was like maybe the last generation there, like kind of grow up without the internet, and like when I was young, thinking about like the amount of information coming in and how it's presented, say on like Facebook or something. It's like it is important for people to be taught how to think critically, because like when you see those Facebook headlines, it seems like straightforward to any of us, but younger kids might not know that there's such thing as like
Lawyers.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But the smart ones know. The smart ones know what lawyers are. For sure.
But I mean,
the rest of them are fucked.
It is
But you
very
see,
strange.
like, there's a vast majority of people that do seem to believe them, and it's like terrifying sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like going with
They've been programmed to be that way.
They've gone on the ride, you know what I mean, like the merry-go-round for a while, and it's continuously gotten worse, and they've continuously believed more and more that it's real, So
I honestly believe, that 50% of the Fortnite generation would plug in virtually 24 hours a day if they could. I really believe that.
Yeah, well, just social media at the moment causes such a distortion of reality, and like that's rich coming from us because we use it extensively.
I was going to say, I always find it hard then to separate it though from the art side of things as well, or like when you're using it for like, say like the podcast side of things, and when you're using it for like essentially a job, it's like
it's just a tool that you can exploit. It's how you're using the tool. A lot of people are using the tool wrong,
Tool is using them.
Yeah,
Big time.
because they are the product. That's what they don't realise.
or we're the product.
Yeah, like the people who are using it, the consumer is the product.
Yeah,
the
exactly,
actual
yeah.
your profile is the product.
Exactly,
So like
yeah.
you are the product. For sure, your
That's-
data is the
yeah.
product.
Yeah,
You're being
that's their
bought and
selling.
sold by massive corporations so they can advertise to you, so they can like hit you up with certain shit. So you are the product. So like, just realise that you ain't getting paid for nothing. They're making a bitch of you out there, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
there's
also
money.
just even from the perspective of mainly just like anxiety. I think it's very, very bad for that. And
Yeah.
that creates a culture of like doubt and fear and just, I think
Addiction as well.
it just makes you really question yourself in ways that you wouldn't otherwise question yourself unless you were subject to all this information all the time, constant updates.
Yeah,
I know it's very strange.
yeah. It's like a little digital opiate. That you get your little hit off. You get your little hit off. Just enough. It's like I need 30 them a day, and then I'm grand.
So it's
never enough.
but again, at the same time, like we use social media, or rather, it probably uses us. Like I was saying, and
I mean, it's very disappointing, I have to say. Like when you put your heart and soul into something, and you create a piece of artwork and you put it up, and it's not. I don't know if it's the same with a picture or not, or what. Like when people are doing selfies or what. But when you've definitely spent a whole heap of time, like a month, coming up with an idea, like really fleshing it out, coming up with the writing, then coming up with the, you know, how it's going to be produced, all the things, working together as a team, splurging it all out, and then it gets, you know, half the likes that you'd normally get, and you're like, whoa. It
but
really didn't.
That's the whole problem. Like, it causes you to doubt work.
Yeah.
I don't care
when
about
it's
that.
really good work. I think, you know.
That shit.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I hear what you're saying, and like, we'd be lying if we didn't say sometimes it does impact you. You're only human, and that's a huge
but
way that humans gauge things at the moment. So you fall victim to it, but it's so counterproductive because you're using an external opinion of something that is seeing a bite-sized chunk of maybe a month or 6 weeks work, and then people don't double click it, and that makes you feel like it's not as good as it is.
Yeah, I mean, or it wasn't quite the right angle, or it didn't have quite the right caption or something, you know, like you're just kind of like,
doubt. It just causes this doubt, and that causes angst, and then that angst causes fear, and that fear prevents progress, and it's just a little catchment. And
Really? Do you believe that?
I
think it does, because it kind of like, if it doesn't get enough, like, I mean, I think you have to develop a hard shell to it.
Yeah.
And realize that it really doesn't.
You just have to
should just continue hacking away.
You've got no power over that. Like, once you put it out there, but then it doesn't belong to you anymore. It's like you've put it out into the space, and like, how many people are actually looking at it?
Anyway, sure, that's that. But like, sure, like, anyway, moving on and get, like, you know, about creating more art and trying to do that as easily as possible. Not being told what to do by these organisations, like what that is. That's good, you know.
Yeah. And so I suppose just wrapping up, is there, just in terms of like, so the current projects that are ongoing, where can people see them, and what should they look out for from
Instagram
the next little bit? Ironically enough.
Keep tuned.
Subset.ie.
Keep on smiling.
We're finally gonna have a website after fucking I don't know how many years, but on that website will just be details of all the work that we're engaged in, and we'll also have a map on that page which will show where people can go look at our pieces that are up, and lots of other shit as well, but definitely just the website is where everything will be at. There's
kind of good projects down the line. Might go to Philadelphia, maybe LA.
Hopefully both.
Just wrapping up, can you go into like at all, like maybe the process behind sort of when you picked, like, say something like climate, are there other things discussed at those times, or did those issues kind of come to you in terms of like they just seem like the right thing to do from everyone?
Well, I think at the time we were researching a good bit on climate anyway, so we're like, look, let's just stick to this, and it's good, you know. We knew we were onto a good idea anyway, with how we were kind of zooming in on a micro scale, looking at the plastic and kind of, you know, creating compositions from that. So it's nice to be consistent in your work, so that's what we want to do. Just be consistent in creating artwork that speaks as a narrative along the way. Yeah, you know. And
microplastics are a huge problem. They're everywhere. Yeah. They're in our food chain on a serious level. We're all consuming it. No one knows what the long-term effects are. You know, there's like, it's not just a big huge thing that's out in the ocean or on the beaches in Africa somewhere, because all those little bits that are floating out there, fish are eating them and you're eating them.
It's all up in your business.
It's all up in your, exactly. It's in your grill.
Yeah.
Every day, for sure.
Yeah, we did a good bit of research, and you know, like, even talked to some people in Trinity Science, AML and CRAN, and, you know, they had findings of all sorts of things in the Grand Canal, including really a few bits of microplastic they found, but they couldn't actually, because it was so small, it's hard to actually say whether it was, but it looked like it. And then there was a lot of other particles, like there was a lot of iron from the building work that was going on there, and like that's really interesting to see. But we didn't focus on that, so those just like little bits that we can actually continue off on, work with other people who have really been. You know.
I think because the plastics relate also to the oil industry, like it's like they're the two like major polluters of the whole planet. So like they're closely linked. One's a byproduct of the other. You know, and like the people who were selling all that oil for all that money, they weren't happy enough making all that money, so they had to come up with loads of other ways to use like what was left over from the petrol making process, you know, to sell to the nice consumers back in the West.
Now, really appreciate you guys coming on. Check you guys out on social media, even though we just dissed it and all of that.
Fuck social media.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's
Nice one.
Yeah.
From those sirens.